In here also, I want to go ahead and just share with you. So a lot of this stuff I'm talking to you about is just like bits and pieces of here and there. And, if they need to get more information, they can get a hold of us down here in Shiprock at a place called the Healing Circle Wellness Center. It's right there by Mesa Elementary School and right across the street there. We're located right there. You can come over, you can call us, call me there or leave a message there for me, or you can come in, and I'm usually there on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I do a lot of volunteer and do kind of hang out there now and then. You don't need an appointment. Just come on in and bring me a can of soda. I drink diet soda, by the way. So
water too.
Yeah, there you go. So come. If it's going to be tobacco, bring me a mountain tobacco. We'll put it and light it up, and so. Everything we do is traditional, even the sweat lodge that we have, it's the old style. We don't dump water on these rocks. We don't boil people with it. I don't do that.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that's interesting you brought that up, and I was talking to my wife about that. So I've only been in one of those sweat lodges 21 years ago, and yes, dumped the water on it. So can you explain what would be the Diné way?
I have two styles, okay? The traditional way is like, usually the rocks will be on the north side, right there up against, and the story behind it and all that, it's right there. The way we do the traditional style is there is no water onto the rocks itself. We don't do that, it's just you sit in there, you meditate, and you just let the heat absorb your body, and it, from what we teach, is like it takes off all these bad things out of you. The heat does that. You might go through the whole week, somebody might think a bad thought of you. Somebody might say a bad word to you. You might think a bad thought. You might say a bad word. All these things can walk around, haunt you. So in order to get it right, for yourself, you go in there and you meditate through it, and take those things off, without dousing water on there. So the concept, that concept comes to us from the northern tribes. God bless those people. They're good people. I've sweated with them, and they always have an explanation for why they do that. But and then it reaches us down here. A lot of these guys come down here for the wrong intentions, and a lot of times they do that, and they think, it's like you gotta. The warriors thing, I guess, is like more or less that it's like to clunk it up into the main reason why they do that, I think. But and then
at least that's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But in our own concept, that's not the way to do it. You don't go in there and try to boil somebody over with water. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's the evilness. The story is that I don't know when it was. I wasn't there again. When the twin boys went up to the sun. They were told, the sun is going to do this to you. The sun itself is a very evil person. Okay, he's going to try to kill you with that. He's going to throw water on the rocks like that. He's going to kill you with that. And he's killed a lot of people like that. He's killed a lot of things like that. The evilness that he thinks, why he does that. Be careful. So they were given some antidote, and said they were given some things to go up there and to do what they're supposed to do. And he said, work closely with Mother Earth itself. Work closely. And the spirit people said, we will be in there with you. That's why when you go in there, they yell out, "Hushte, hushte, hushte, tachache." They all yell. What you're doing is you're inviting all the spirit people, the air people in there to sweat with you. See, so when they said that, they said, we'll be in there with you. And when he throws that water on you, you get down. And there you can go into the earth. So, and that was left to the muskrat, I think it's what it was. But anyway, one of those animals. They said, we're going to make a hole. You're going to put yourself in there. Put your mind in there. He said, that's how you're going to survive. And then they were given an antidote. See, there's a medicine that they put inside their mouth. They were given that, taken from one of the animals. Which from what I'm told, it was a It was a worm, you know, that. So, and that again, in the poisonous tobacco that was also given to them also from the same worm again. So, but anyway, they were told that. So for that reason, so my grandpa told me, he said, don't ever do that. Don't do that. Don't do that for that person. Just tell them people that you had to be tough, you know. So when I started going to a lot of these, I hear a lot of our own people say, oh, this is the warrior round, you know. And I always say, what the hell's that, you know? What the hell's a warrior round, you know? I was like, was that supposed to be tough or what is that about, you know? It's like, you have to humble yourself. You don't go in there with that attitude, you know. You don't do that, you know. You're not above everybody. It's like what this guy's doing up in Washington, you know. It's like he's making up his own rule as he goes along, you know. It's like he thinks he's above the law, you know. But
all of them do.
Yeah, it's like you're going there, I'm all tough, you know, it's like that, you know. That's not what the purpose of a sweat lodge is. My grandpa told me, only an evil person with an evil thought would do that. Throw water on that thing like that. Just to see how you would react. You can misguide a person with that. He says, don't do that, Shanala, don't do that. If you're going to do something like that, put some herbs together. Talk to this medicine, herbs. You don't need to throw that whole thing on there, he said. You take a sage, make it like a paintbrush, you dip it in there. You talk to it. You talk to the spirit people that are in there. Shitra, you know, forgive me for the evil thoughts I had. Forgive me for the evil things I've said. Forgive those that have thought evil things of me. Forgive those that have said bad things about me. Forgive me, Shitra. I'm only human, you know. And that's what you're doing. You're washing yourself with that. That's for you. Not to see what you're going to do with everybody else. He says, that's just for you. But that's herbs. There are herbs that are put into that water. And you sprinkle. You just need to take a dip of it and just kind of like paint the rocks with it. And that's all you do. You don't throw the whole thing on there. And of course, you're going to drink some of this stuff that you're putting on there also. And you can take the whole bucket and drink it like that, or you can dip this thing in there and just suck that thing out. Yeah. And he says, that's how you do it, he says. But it says, as an alcoholic, he says, you really need to do, every time when a person comes out of prison, he said, use that concept, use that way. He says, have that medicine waiting for them when they come in there. Have them sit at the rocks like that and then tell them what you're going to be doing. Because they need to forgive themselves for where they put themselves. Anything and everybody. Says a lot of these guys are that. Some of them beat on their women just for, I don't know why they do that. He says a lot of them, they walk around with shame. He says, do that for them.
So they can get over it. Because like we were talking earlier, so they can get past that,
right?
The abuse part.
Yeah, and to replace themselves with something more positive. He said, that's what you're doing. That's why you're putting that medicine on that rock for, just to clean yourself and put something, replace that positive thought back into you. He says that's what it's for. Yeah. Otherwise, there's the story of the animal people when they arrived in the white world. You know, where these things came from. You know, like all these the elements of the rocks, the firewood. Died in Nepal, and then there's two separate ones. And you go in different places, different areas, the story is told different. Some say women are not supposed to sweat. Then what are they going to do? Go throughout their life stinky, smelly? No, you know, it's like you can't do that, you know. And what makes you smell is your attitude. You know, all the everyday stress, all the everyday anxiety can get to you. And that's why we have so many Karens. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, they're the worst ones that need to go into sweat lodges, these Karens, you know. I bet you that's the first time you heard that.
It is a good one. And not commercial break. No, I'm kidding.
What makes a person so beautiful is their attitude. You know, a smile. Yat, hey, you know, from what comes inside. If you're going to stand there and have this thing across your face, can I help you? You know, that's the ugliness of what you bring into to working with people. If you work in a store, if you work somewhere like in a public office, you're going to bring that with you. You know, it's like, there's something wrong with you. You know, you need to go sit in the sweat lodge and get some of that stuff off of you and be happy, you know.
Yep. I mean, we've dealt with, all humans have dealt with that. And
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly what it is. So, but anyway, that's what it is. You know, so there's 2 separate sweat lodges that were put in place. You know, and if you listen to the songs and how they were made, you know, at the white world, there was one made by first woman, there was one made by first man. You know, is you know, the other ones, which one was you know, there's 2 of them. One first woman, the other one was first man, like that. So there's 2 sweat lodges that were put, but they were separate. And then we were told, don't ever, ever go back and put it back together again. You don't do that. Women separately sweat. You know, don't come together, because a lot of the stuff that on women, you don't need to breathe it in as a man. A lot of damage was done in the yellow world. You don't need to bring it in here. You know, you keep it. We keep it down there. They said. So even with the
well, that's interesting, because that's the family I met up with up in Hard Rock. They have their own separate sessions of doing sweat.
Right.
The women would go in first, do their sweat. Once they're out, they let the men know, and the men go in there and do their sweat.
Right. And a lot of times what they do is they change out what's on the bedding on the floors. A lot of times they'll change that out. So if they do that. So when, you know, for a while there down the shipwright at the Hill, so we were doing that for a while, you know. So I always told the ladies, you know, when you guys go in there sweat, you know, make sure, but we knew we were doing that. So when the men got done with this, we took out the bedding out of there, you know. So then they put theirs in there. But right now, we're hoping to get this thing done. We're going to separate them. So the women will have their own sweat lodge, you know. So, but there again, you know, we are desperate to have somebody at least, you know, coordinate of putting that thing up at least once a month or twice a month or whenever. So there again. So
do you allow non-Diné?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've had some.
Invite to everybody.
Yeah, so we've had some tribes from up, I got some friends, you know, very close friends from the Kiowa Reservation that came out. We had one from up north. He was a member of the Cheyenne River Reservation come out here about a month ago. Yeah, he came out here. He needed some help with his his ex-girlfriend. He was into the ghost stuff with the, I don't know what he was with, but, you know, a lot of that stuff got on him, and he knew the blackening ceremony worked for him. He says, guys, can you help me with this thing here? And I was like,
blackening.
and I said, yeah, we can do that. You know, even though don't ever let anybody tell you that this don't belong to the Cheyenne people. You know, where do you think we came from? You know, it's like we got some of this stuff from up in your country. So, but anyway, yeah, we get some people like that. We get some Spanish people coming in maybe once in a gray moon, you know, we have somebody like that. We used to have an old friend who's an old hippie, used to come in and sweat with us for a while there, you know, and he picked up a lot of the stuff out of there, and he loved it. I mean, he loved it.
It's. I mean, just from that one experience I did.
Yeah.
Before I went, it was maybe 4 hours long, I think, and I think, it was about 4 hours long, but I spent probably half of that worried about my claustrophobia. I was claustrophobic at the time. So you have about 10 individuals in there. I felt claustrophobic. And then my aunt told me to calm down, breathe and pray, sing and pray, you know. At the end I came out, and since then I haven't had any claustrophobia. But again, they were pouring the water onto the rocks as well too.
Yeah, it's most likely the plain style.
And that's when I was talking to some other family members about that sweat, and they're like, no, that's more, I guess, like NAC Plains Indians style of how they do sweats. So. So we're talking about songs that we're saying, and I was telling you about one of my favorite ones that we spoke about from our previous interview.
Yeah.
It wasn't recorded, so.
I hear you. That one, it's a beautiful song, actually. It's what it is. And it talks a lot about love, you know, the non-native concept of love, you know. Like you might say, oh, honey, I love you. Come sit close to me, honey, I love you. You know, that concept, you know. But in that context, you know, that's not the love that we have here as Native people, as Navajos. You know, and I use that word very loosely, the word Navajo. We have no such a word as that. And the best way to describe that would be as through a mom. The moms are the only ones that have it. Why? Because they are the ones that brought us into this world. They carried us. Till the day she goes into the spirit world, she will take that with her, the love that she has for us. And then for us men to say that, you know, what do we know about it? We don't. We know nothing about it. We don't know what it feels like. So when I hear a lot of this talk about abortion, you know, I hear some congressman or some idiot talking, some guy talking about abortion. You know, it's way out of place. They have no purpose in talking about that. They don't know what it is to be a mom. Why do they do that? You know, but that's them. You know, here we stay out of it. We know nothing about it as men. Same way with this love thing. We don't know what it feels like to have a baby come out of us. So who are we to say that we love this person? To love somebody in the white man or the non-native concept is to own that person. You know, I can do with you what I want. If I want to slap you around, I'll slap you around. I can abuse you. I can call you names, you know, a lot of these things. But that's the concept of it. So if a person, you know, pretty soon they get used to it. A lot of times, you know, they will start to think, you know, maybe the man don't love me no more because he doesn't hit me no more or something like that. But us men don't have it. We're not equipped with that. We don't know. But a mom is very special. I'm talking about that mound over here.
I learned that from you.
Yeah, is where this whole concept came to being. The medicine bundle. These two, if you put them side by side, they are identical. Period. But if you ever look at it side to side, they're identical. You know, then you have to use your own concept and try to figure this thing out. And we got it from there. So that little baby, what egg she's a tornado was what aha bes moisture that's why they say is life. Water is life. And that's what our body is part of too. Lightning. One was male, one is female. Daytime, nighttime, so all these different concepts of what is to keep us alive. They brought that little baby. Talking God, no usable a gun. Hashed a gun. It's not a question. Hashed a one. What she didn't. What is that? what else? The she has a one that isn't a rat we laugh. That little baby, I think, it's a dead clutter. It's not we lag odd. None of it on this odd. When they eat that, and now they'll claw, has that thing within there, grab the tail of the male eating the ash of the lightning. Think the odds are going to lead thunder this sergeant eating it, this sergeant odd. The shit I took in the straw. Then had actually a wait out low. That little baby was still laughing and it reached out. What's that? Just then the men stepped back because they had never seen anything like it before. And to this very day, they still do that. You know. It don't look like me. No, you didn't see that. So, and then I guess I'd seen that Craig and I said, no, the first woman was the one lady's kitchen. Right off when she picked it up, she transformed that love into that little baby. What's that? Yihiyilla. See, what's that? Which was to be Dole she lay Latin. Dilla. We have na Johnny Ajana she no hashing which engine hota. Could that Hashtelke was looking at it. Hashte wando. So all these they were looking at it. Dashing engine hota. It's Sasha Adi. The she Hashtelke. They saw tears coming out of his eyes, because he felt that love that was coming out of first woman onto this little baby. What's that? And that's when they realized the mom is the one that has it. If you didn't bring that person into this world, you don't say, hey, I love you. No, you didn't bring that person into this world. There's a different meaning for that one. When you live with somebody so long, you learn to say to that person, you learn to grow with that person. You learn to understand it. You know how much sugar to put in her coffee. You know how much sugar he takes. You don't even have to tell each other. You already know automatically. But if you say, I love you, then you didn't bring this person into this world. You start to earn it. You start to think that you own this person, and then you start say, that's why us now did the we didn't use that word. We had only the moms were the only ones. That's how it was used. Tears was coming out of his eyes. First lady, what is the first woman saying? They were trying. They wanted to say it too. They weren't sure how to say it, How did we say it to this little girl? What does he say? The rest caught on. Within the other. See, I mean, to the point where they were all singing, you can't not see it. See, they were so happy. They picked it up. Away as in the other. She's a lean, Nijan. Ola, oh, yeah. See, like that. What's that? The essence of lean.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one of my favorite stories that we, Anthony and I had this, he shared that story with me when we were headed back to dropping him off at their first interview. At that time, the camera died, all my batteries were drained, and my cards were full. and it was like, I think we were about 7 hours. But you know, it's great to finally rehear that again, and first thing in the morning too. So
yeah, so it is a beautiful song.
it is. It really is. And I told my wife about that, saying moms are the only ones that are allowed to say "I love you" to as Chinieja, to a
Right,
that
exactly.
they brought into their life. And what you explained last time was, I don't need to say "I love you" to my wife, but I can say "I appreciate you."
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, yeah. And so when I explained that to my wife, she thought about it. She's like, "I really like that."
Yeah.
She said, because every day she said, "I appreciate you." She said, "I feel like that's more than just saying I love you. It's saying these are the reasons why, how much I appreciate you," which is could be just as strong as love, but it's between her and I.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got it right. So.
Yeah. It's such a good learning lesson that all of us should be taught.
Yeah, I should have been taught a lot of this stuff way back. You know, if I were taught a lot of this thing way back then, I don't think I would have had really screwed up my relationship with my wife, my kids, and all that. You know,
because there's no whys, right?
Yeah.
There's no whys of how come we do it like this? Why is it like that? There wasn't always an explanation for all of it.
Yeah.
But you're sharing it now.
Yeah.
And there's people of my generation, and there's Chinieja coming up, Away's barely been born probably today, and this will be online for them to hear the backstory of it, and I really hope that.
But yeah, like I said, if you want to hear more, you know, like as much as I can give you, come on over to the Hill and Circle here in Shiprock, and I do make go places, and like I was up in Albuquerque last year, up in Pueblo country, and what I told them back there, man, they loved it.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I said was, I want to reach out and thank you Pueblo people for giving us what we have. If we weren't for you guys, I said, we wouldn't have this, you know, we wouldn't have that word.